Okay, hello, it's Paul Green from the business community here, doing another one of our regular spotlight on interviews. This time we've got two for the price of one. So we've got Unumbox on the call today. So welcome, guys.
Thank you. Paul.
So it's Simon and Stephanie. So we're going to give them a little bit of a grilling and find out a little bit about the business journey, and they're going to share some of their top tips with us later in this interview. So guys, do you want to just introduce yourself first? Simon, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, certainly. So I'm Simon Langham, the founder, as people like to introduce me, or the MD for Unumbox Limited, a lead generation agency that focuses on user first websites, really, and digital marketing.
Excellent. And Steph?
Yes, so I am part of the well-oiled machine at Unumbox. I am the marketing and content creator. So I market all the user first and good things that Unumbox does as a company.
Okay, thanks, Steph. So Simon, you're the head honcho. So do you want to let us know a little bit about how you got to where you are today and how Unumbox came to be formed?
Yeah, that's a good question, because certainly what formed Unumbox has certainly changed to what we are now. What our why is now is very different. So I started Unumbox, I was a developer. I was working for my parents' business. I needed to leave and set up my own business. It was a side hustle to start with. And I started building websites, as many people do. And I saw a gap for good quality websites, understanding the code and what happens behind the websites. But over the 5 years, the journey's really taken us into, what is a website? And a website's a tool. That's what we do. And what we're really here for is generating leads for our customers one way or another. So we really use all of our expertise now. Over the years, we've found out the companies that work well, the ones that haven't worked so well, and we've found the commonalities, and we now are a lead generation agency that focus on creating websites and marketing material to generate leads for customers, really, and using best practice.
Yeah, and that's what's most important for most small businesses, isn't it? That lead generation aspect of it. So the name Unumbox, how did that come about, Simon?
So I wanted I'd love a one-syllable word. I wanted something short and simple and easy to remember. But nowadays, everything's taken up, isn't it? Unless you've got a sizable wallet to purchase a name that somebody's already thought of. So it just came about. I wanted one box, but obviously that was taken, one drive and things like that, because it was a place to store things. That's originally what I wasn't going to create websites. I was going to create an application that was a central place for businesses to look at their water meter data and everything. Anyway, so one drive was taken. Latin for one is unum. And so I went Unumbox, or Unumbox at the time. Found there was a FTSE 100 company called Unum and thought, well, everybody will be able to pronounce that. That's absolutely fine. Went to my wife and said, Unumbox. And she said, oh, that's brilliant. That's really good. It's unique. And bought the domain. It was available. And now it's become a talking point because you have to spell it UNUM, which is so Uniform November, Uniform Mother, BOX. It's interesting. And what's interesting with the name I find is in Northamptonshire, you say the name and some people look at you blank, like, where did that come from? And then you go down to London, particularly around X-Cross or the old roundabout, Old Street. And they get it. They're like, people in the tech industry kind of get it.
Right.
It's cool and edgy and fun.
Okay. I believe you. So Stephanie, I've been stalking you on LinkedIn, and being a geek isn't your background, is it? So you've obviously stepped into geekdom. So what was the attraction and how are you finding it?
Well, initially for me, obviously I had, despite coming from the hospitality sector, I had quite a lot of experience in the social media marketing side of things and the kind of event promotion side of things as well. And cutting quite a long story short, after returning home from New Zealand in May, I vigorously was applying for jobs in the realms of marketing, because it's what I'd done before and what I knew I wanted to do when I returned home anyway. And I found Unumbox. Well, I found Simon and Becky first. Becky is our content creator as well. And I haven't looked back since, to be honest. It's been amazing. I think I on my journey in Unumbox have already learned so much about what marketing entails. And especially working for Unumbox, a company that not only is with the time, but also very ahead of the curve. It's pushed me out of my depths in a really good way. And I love it. So, yeah.
Good. So I've noticed, I think on social media, you've shared that you've had a recent growth spurt, or certainly over the last month, I think you've doubled in size. So in the current climate, that's a pretty impressive thing, I guess, for most companies to do. So what's brought that about? What's led to the success and you growing that quickly so fast?
Well, I've got to link it to the last question, because the reason Steph got the job was the enthusiasm that she brings, and actually it's the same reason why I think we're doing well, is the enthusiasm and drive. It was interesting. A week before lockdown, at the beginning of the year, was actually a tough time, particularly around Brexit and the uncertainty. It was kind of, well, where do we go? What are we doing? And then then COVID seemed to happen, and it was a week before the lockdown, and rumours were being said, and I sat down and went, well, I've got to write a plan, because it's either this or give up. But I'm not one to give up. And that plan was probably it was a defining moment. And we stuck to it. We made sure that we focused on marketing. So Steph was the first person to join marketing, focus on that. We put out positivity. We seeked opportunity. When many of our competitors were actually putting on people on furlough, we were taking on. We realised that actually now's the time not to cheapen ourselves, but to actually add value. People are coming to us for guidance in a digital-first world, which is where we're very comfortable. So we're completely remote now. We don't have an office at all. We're fully embracing that. We're able to employ staff from around the UK because Northamptonshire is unfortunately not a great place to employ developers. So we're able to get the best skills. So really, COVID has helped us, because I could talk about this for hours, but simplifying it down, we don't have to spend a whole day going out to meetings. We can go on Zoom, so we're far more efficient. We're able to source the best resources around the country. We have the energy, enthusiasm to take on the projects. We now have the team to take on the projects as well, and diversify out and use expertise across the board. So I'm not doing everything. We've got a UX designer, a UX UI designer. We've got a marketing specialist. That's the word. Content creator, SEO writer. Plenty of developers. We're developer heavy. So that puts us in good stead. I think that's really led to everything, and really understanding where we are and having a purpose and finding a solution to all the problems that seem to be happening at the moment are great. I realise that I'm just running off, but I think that kind of
it's useful to know, because no one expected us to be in this situation, I think, for as long as we have been. I think I've been quite impressed with the creativity and the way that small businesses have adapted, and taken advantage of the online stuff, because I know there were people pre-COVID that thought, we had to be in an office, we had to have staff under one roof, etc., etc., etc. Well, now everybody's been forced into this remote working. I'm sure there's opportunities that it's opened up for everybody. So no, that was really useful to understand your journey. So getting a bit geeky for a minute. So you guys sort of specialised in AMP websites, AMP websites. So for the non-geeky amongst us that might be tuning into this, do you want to say a little bit about what that is and what that means to your development?
Yeah, I'll pick up on that and might pass over to Steph in a second, because what I've always found is there's so many websites. Every business has a website. And when you're searching on Google, you have to appear higher than the others. So it's fantastic when companies use Wix, Weebly, WordPress websites, because it makes it easy for us to rank above them, because there's limitations to the systems. But we had to go out and say, well, how do we ensure that we get to the top? Well, we can't. There's no guarantees. Google have the keys to that car. We don't. But what we can do is do everything that they expect. So super fast websites. Loading speed is so important, and on mobiles in particular, and performance, something that people miss out. It's not the speed that the website loads, but it's the performance on some of these phones. If you have parallax graphics or some videos, your phone, certainly slower phones, will struggle. So Google created AMP, which is accelerated mobile pages. And it's a technology that focuses on user-first technology to provide super fast websites. So we embraced that over a year ago now, and it's been our silver bullet. If you take a website that has a good domain authority and has a good number of visitors to it, now you upgrade it to AMP, you can pretty much guarantee you'll see a 20% increase in conversion rates just by switching to AMP. It doesn't necessarily work, we've found over time, for new websites. Domain authority is still king, link building, and all those traditional SEO things. You still need to focus on those. But if you take an existing website and upgrade it to AMP, then you'll see success. And it makes you appear in different places. And probably just adding to AMP is other technologies that I could bore you to death with. PWA, Progressive Web Apps, SVGs for illustrations. We really understand and enforce that we're using the latest technology, things that people haven't heard of. Web stories, for example, are a new thing. Nobody's heard of them. They will next year, and we're ahead of it. We're ahead of all the technologies, particularly the ones that Google put out, because Google dominate the internet, whether you like them or not. They dominate search, and we're there. We're ready. We understand it. It's not strange to us. Don't know if Steph wants to add anything more to that.
So, Steph, you're out there, as the marketing queen for Unumbox, and I know you sort of like network quite prolifically. So, I guess having a USP like AMP, help distinguish yourself from other website developers. In terms of your market, are there any sort of like ideal clients that you're looking for? Any sectors or any size of company, or any ones that you've been more successful with than others?
Well, I think now that things are kind of hopefully coming out of COVID, we had a business realignment during lockdown 1, as Simon kind of touched on with his plan, is to kind of realign the business to help those smaller businesses who had either faced, people who had either faced redundancy or, on furlough, had the spare time to start something new. So we kind of realigned Unumbox as a business to help out those smaller businesses at that time. So, with offering one-page referral websites up to, e-commerce, multi-page websites, which actually proved really successful during lockdown 1 and throughout the summer as well. But I think now we are obviously focusing more so on those larger sized contracts, enterprise level projects, just because of this technology that, that we have and that, we have access to. I think we do want those bigger contracts. We're obviously trying to tap in as well. Well, I say trying, we already have tapped into the States and to the Australian market as well, but obviously that's going to be a big push for us for 2021 as well. But yeah, Simon, I don't know whether you want to take over on this one.
No, you got that pretty much right. We're particularly over those that are thinking digital first and want to grow their businesses and taking it seriously. I think that's where we can help them.
Yeah, I think you're the first international company that I've had on this. So thank you for breaking that virginity. Back to Steph. Do you want to say a little bit about the webinars that you guys are running? I think they're free to attend, aren't they?
Yes. So our webinars are free to attend. So the kind of format of them is obviously the platform is called Wow Webinars, and there is a Facebook group as well that obviously most people within the business community are probably aware of by now. But essentially, it's a platform to be able to aid businesses with their digital marketing needs. So we are kind of, as we're going into the realms of being a lead generation agency, we're focusing on things in the new year, such as how to accelerate your leads within your digital marketing. We've also got our next upcoming webinar in January is January the 11th, I believe, is how to climb Google's search results using AMP as well, obviously what we've just been discussing. But all details are obviously always on our Facebook pages. We also have a webinar page on our website, which is also being launched in the next couple of weeks, really. to be honest, isn't it, Simon?
It is now, apparently. Yeah, we're definitely we are now holding a Zoom, a webinar on January 11th, and our webinar paper will be live in 2 weeks.
But I think the good thing as well about our WOW webinars is obviously with there being a Facebook group, we obviously base it on, we run polls on that Facebook group, and we base it on what we think people may need some help with. But we can also tailor these webinars to if someone wants help with something specifically, we can help them with that as well. And then kind of the format with those is that we run one live webinar monthly, and then throughout the following month, we show pre-recorded versions of that webinar. Albeit it's not live, we still allow for you to have an option to ask questions that we can get back to you with answers for as well. So, but yeah, it's all free and all good.
Cool. So, Simon, you've got quite a young family, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So, often talk about sort of work-life balance and stuff like that. Apparently, this is a question that you're not meant to ask women because women get offended. So I'm going to ask a man. So how do you cope running a business, which is a big enough task in itself, with also having a young family and keeping that balance?
Yeah. So Kate joined us, arrived in, gosh, I almost forgot the date then, July. A fantastic wife who's on maternity leave, and it's ensuring who takes which responsibility. Really, she's taken maternity leave, and she looks after Kate, and I look after the business, and every spare time I spend time with family. Lockdowns made it easier. We don't have to go anywhere. We don't have to meet people. So I get to spend a lot of time with them. My spare time, the minute I leave this room, I'm down with my family, which is great. I recognize that the business provides for the family. So I can't, I have to focus on the business. And it's helped me focus my mind a lot. And having a bigger team now, so we're 12 now, it's easier, or we're transitioning. I'm still doing some of the work, but from January I won't be. It would be managing it, which makes it a lot easier to manage that work-life balance, I think.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, because you don't want to miss the growing up of Kate, do you?
No.
So I often ask people, I don't know if you're familiar with Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why. It's essentially sort of that driving force, I guess, that emotional connection that you have with the business that has you get out of bed each morning and strive to do what you do. So what would you say your why is, Simon?
My personal why is making a difference. I admire people, like looking at the bigger picture. I admire people like Elon Musk, for example, who have this grand, massive vision, and they're just working on it despite many failures. They just keep at it, and that kind of keeps me going. That it's the bigger picture, and I love Mondays. I love getting on with things. I love making a difference. I like. And I think linking it then to the business why, we're there to move the internet forward and generate leads and use it for what it's for, which Steph will pick up a bit later on, but is answering people's questions and being there as a solutions provider, and fixing things, answering questions, providing solutions. That's the business why, and that generates leads. Look after the users, and the users will look after your customer.
Yeah, Elon Musk is quite a character. I think his latest rocket crash landed, and I think he described it as an unscheduled disassembly.
And also one of the rockets fell over in the hangar as well.
Good job they weren't stacked up like dominoes or anything like that. So Steph, what's your why? What gets you out of bed each morning to sort of wave the Unumbox flag?
I think it makes my job a whole lot easier to be marketing a business that, like I said earlier, is so ahead of the curve. It not only that, but I also enjoy what I do. I love people. I just love people. I think it's probably come across by now within business community events. I just love to talk, and I love to share. I think the main thing for me is that obviously a big ethos that lays around Unumbox as a business is positivity. Right from the start, Simon has always, I think that's why Simon and myself get on so well, is because we're both very enthusiastic and positive people, and working for a business and not only doing a job that I really, really enjoy, but actually having that entire attitude around it as well just makes it so easy. Not so easy. Obviously, there are challenges in my day-to-day.
Your KPIs are being increased now.
Tough crowd, Steph. It's a tough crowd.
But I genuinely, hand on heart, don't ever find myself waking up and thinking, even if it's a tired morning, it's one of those mornings where there's a little bit of a barrier in front of you. I never wake up and not look forward to going to work. And that sounds so cliche, but it's so true.
And can Simon rap as well as you?
No.
No, I consider you appreciate that rap is means reciting a poem. So I can recite a poem, but I can't rap.
Yeah, just for the context of any listeners, one of the introductions that Steph did at a networking meeting, she did in rap. I think there was another network. There was a competition, wasn't there, to sort of see who was the best, who could rap the best intro or something.
Yeah.
And then I put on the spot at my meeting and got her to do it again. So.
And then also continued to come up, because obviously that was at the freebie one on Fridays, and then it continued to come around at a couple of other BuzzCon events during the week.
Yeah, I think you got a reputation for that particular time.
Yeah, I did get quite a lot of acknowledgements for that rap. I was like,
yes. Well, after you'd done that, and I said everybody else had to do it in rap, I think people got quite afraid. So obviously, as we're recording this, we're still in the pandemic and hopefully just coming out of lockdown 2.0, as some people call it. Hopefully there won't be a 3.0 or any subsequent ones, but we'll have to wait and see. So outside of that, Simon, what's been the biggest challenge that Unumbox has faced over the last 5 or 6 years since you've been in business?
Oh, gosh, so many. I love a good challenge, though. Actually, it's going back to Elon Musk actually as well. I think he's faced a lot of challenges. Rockets blowing up on the launch pad, but you or landing pad. You learn so much from them, and I would say the challenge has been making mistakes. You have to make mistakes to learn from them, but not making so many that you become detrimental to your own success. So you have to. The challenge is actually looking back at your own activities and evaluating what lessons you can learn from that, making sure that things aren't repeated. I think that they're the worst mistakes. If you consistently make the same mistake, then there's a problem. You have to learn from the mistakes. So the challenge is making enough mistakes, but not making them detrimentally to your customer, or lessening the impact if that is the case. That's the challenge. Is balancing act.
Yeah, it's different mistakes are fine. The same one over and over again is a bit silly, really, isn't it?
Yeah, give up. Do something else.
Steph, Simon's obviously a fan of Elon Musk. Is there anybody out there that you sort of aspire to, or you look at in the business world to motivate you?
I would say that
if you say Simon, your KPIs will come down.
I mean, why do I feel like this is such a tricky question to ask? To be honest, in what you just said, I mean, Simon is actually someone to look up to. I'm not, being a sucker right now. But
your KPIs are coming down. It's fine.
I told you, Steph. See, not that bad a crowd after all.
I think that again, it's going back to this idea of positivity. I think any business owner who is able to maintain positivity every morning, Simon comes onto calls and he's positive mostly. I'm joking, he is. But I think any business owner that is able to maintain that, as well as working incredibly hard to build successes for themselves and for their business, I think that's admirable. So I would say Simon is an example of that. But at the moment, off the top of my head, I can't think of anyone else who is an example of that. But as a general, that is probably
I've realised I'm buying you some books for Christmas on some people to admire.
Well, no, they in the last month or so they published a list of the 100 most I can't remember the exact word. It's the most women that the top 100 women that have achieved the most or to aspire towards or stuff like that. And embarrassingly, I looked through the list and knew about 2 of the women listed there, and I felt quite ashamed at that, almost, that, you know, in my world, obviously I wasn't looking out for these aspiring women. And if in fairness, they've done a top list of 100 men, I might not have recognised many of them because I'm not a big follower of the news. But yeah, it was just interesting sort of reading, really, just sort of see all these women in this particular case, you know, and all the things they were doing, and they were considered to be, you know, these top 100 achievers or contributors or whatever the word was. So what about your biggest challenge, Stephanie? Because I think you came into the business during COVID time, didn't you? So this is almost the norm to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think the team at Unumbox know that and like quite a lot of people know about me, is that I really am such a social person. So I think what I didn't actually really think about at the time of, you know, entering Unumbox was the fact that I've always been used to such a social environment and being around people basically 24/7, and going from that to remote working, I thought could have been a challenge for me, because, you know, you're sat at home and, you know, albeit I live with my sister, and, you know, it's more so you're sat by yourself, but actually being a digital first company and making it so easy to remote work, and actually so easy to communicate still, I thought that would be a challenge, but I don't actually really think that it is, because, you know, we as a team still ensure that we communicate regularly, that we have virtual coffee breaks together, that, you know, everything that you would usually do in an office environment, albeit I've actually never worked in an office, so I'm going off an assumption there, is actually still happening even in this remote environment. And I think that probably would have been a challenge, but I don't think that it is for me now.
I'd love to add to that, actually, on because I think it adds value to what we're doing at the moment. We've learned so many things with remote working. Is a realization is, with lockdown, you've had to evaluate yourself. Like, I've realized I am so an introvert. I can stay at home and not socialize. But there are other people that absolutely need to socialize. And so you have to, as a company, replace all of those usual things. So we do things such as socials once every month. The company buys takeaway vouchers. We all meet up on Zoom, and we have that social aspect there. We have the coffee mornings. We have team meetings once a week. We have stand-ups every morning. I reckon actually we communicate more now remotely than we probably did when we were in an office. So that's really important, and I think that's a challenge that most people, particularly if you're an employer, think of your staff. Of the challenge that's probably the biggest challenge I think you've represented there, is the biggest challenge that most employees are considering at the moment. And as an employer, you have to switch things around very quickly, but it does works amazingly. I
love the idea of takeaway vouchers. I've not thought about that before. That's a great way of getting people to come on board. One of the detrimental things that I've heard about people sort of like stating, I don't have the stats to hand, in terms of people working remotely as opposed to under one roof, is you lose that creativity. Now, I guess you could argue that you guys are in a creative world. Do you think that's the case? Has that hampered your creativity as a business?
No, it's an easy one to mitigate. It provides opportunities. All of a sudden, you have efficiency and time to put lots of ideas. You just have to work it differently. If you stick with the same model where you all sit around a room and you quickly jot things down, you can't do that. But you can go away and everybody create all their ideas independently. Then you can have a meeting where you put it all together. You can discuss those and go away then and work on them independently and come back. Everything we do is digital as well. We don't deal with physical print material, so that makes it slightly easier because we are viewing or previewing things as they will be seen by the user in the end anyway. So I can understand a print company would find it difficult. But no, I think in the digital world, in the digital first world, it's much easier. So much easier.
Okay, thank you. So, Steph, we're going to put an even bigger spotlight on you. You've agreed to sort of like share some top tips from as part of the Unumbox team. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you on full screen. Me and Simon will be in the background being very quiet. And so the floor is yours, Steph.
Amazing. Oh, I didn't put my timer on, Paul. Bear with me.
That's okay.
Because, cool. So obviously there's some top tips from us at Unumbox, but the main crux of it all is that the key bit of advice that we want to talk to you about is ensuring that you're the type of business that adopts a user-first attitude. Obviously, this is something that we have previously spoken about in this interview already. And just from our experience, it's usually the case that there's two types of companies. The first company we like to refer to as actually me-first companies, or essentially the type of company that's prone to thinking about themselves and wants to spend the majority of their time projecting themselves. We hear it quite a lot from these type of companies. The words, for example, I want us to look like, and they'll genuinely focus on the appearance, such as, oh, can you make our logo bigger for us, for example. However, the second type of company is our example of a user-first business. This type of company, instead of thinking about themselves, will actually channel their focus more into wanting to answer the questions of their prospects and customers. So from these types of companies, instead of hearing words such as, I want us to look like, we're hearing something more along the lines of, oh, I have a solution for them. So it's a user-first company that will tend to go beyond settling for the success of a Facebook page, for example, and the recommendations from their mates. They're actually more likely to push the boundaries further and create a website, for example, full of a catalogue that entails a catalogue full of questions and answers to their customers. Essentially, a user-first company will get to the crux of things, helping to provide solutions to their future customers as quickly and efficiently as possible. Quite simply, they are answering the questions that their customers are asking. It's as simple as that. But not only this, they'll also commit to answering the questions that businesses might not necessarily want to answer in the first place. For example, how much is it? How much is your product? For some businesses, this question isn't easy to answer off the cusp of things, mainly due to some projects or products just being far too bespoke, depending on the customer. But however, again, these are the answers your prospects want and need. And if you don't answer these, you can be damn sure that your competitors will be. And essentially this results in custom being taken elsewhere, which is obviously what we don't want as businesses. So following on from this, another scenario we might see from me-first companies, for example, is that these type of companies have a tendency to market themselves with a kind of sheen of only pros to their business over them. This isn't relatable nor realistic. In fact, it can be even detrimental to those customers approaching your business altogether because they want to come to a business that's relatable. But a user-first company knows that actually being truthful and honest will make them more relatable and approachable as a business. So the crux of all of this is that a user-first business will see success from adopting and maintaining a user-first approach, one where they listen and establish the art of finding solutions as opposed to only ever shouting about themselves. But a point I want to make here is that to remember that for most, a me-first business is a simple and very easy trap to fall into, because many businesses, when starting out in the digital world, whether it be the development of a website or they're thinking about their marketing, for example, of course, they're going to think it's necessary to think about just them and their business because that's what they're striving to promote. So this is an easy trap to fall into. It's not a bad reflection on a business. It's an easy thing to do. So this is just a little gentle reminder to say to not fall at that first hurdle and to give you a gentle nudge towards this user-first approach. Because once you establish this user-first approach, you can then be sure for a better chance of climbing Google's ranks, as well as having good quality content to share on social media, which will therefore generate more leads and conversions for your business. And this is something that, as a lead generation agency at Unumbox, we can also help you with as well. So yeah, that's our little bit of advice from Unumbox.
Okay, great advice, Steph. Thanks for that. And I think it's absolutely right. There's a tendency, and I've done it before, to focus on internally rather than externally. and generally every piece of marketing should speak to the audience. Not, I love the About Us page. One of my bugbears, it's sort of like I this and we this and et cetera, et cetera. No pictures of the staff, which I know on your site you have pictures of your staff. That people buy people, don't they? So they're engaging with human beings. So anyway, I'll stop ranting because it's your spotlight. You final thing from each of you. We might get 2 tips for the price of one. So I always ask people that are guests on this broadcast, what's one top tip that you would give for business? So Simon, what's one top tip you could give to any business owner out there?
I was gonna say something else, but I think absolutely imperative is opportunity. Every problem has an opportunity. There's oodles of opportunity. If you are a person that struggles to find solutions or opportunity, then talk to someone that can, because whatever the problem, COVID, Brexit, Trump, whatever it is, there's opportunities there, and you just need to find those opportunities and work towards them.
So keeping a positive outlook, really, isn't it? And just sort of seeing what's in can't think of an expression, wood amongst the trees or trees amongst the wood, whatever. Stephanie, do you have a top tip for any business owner out there?
Yeah, I would say for me, communication. Make sure that you communicate as, from a business owner to your team, as well as team member to team member as well. And this includes the negatives as well. Often a situation can be resolved a whole lot quicker if either the business owner or, your work colleague, just communicates with each other. I'm sure many people find in life in general, not just in the business world, that most disagreements are based on misunderstandings. So I definitely would say that communication is key. And I think if us as a digital first company and being remote working can master this, I think everyone can, to be honest.
Okay, thanks, guys. Your deal is over. You'll probably be happy to know. So I'm going to end the broadcast right there, and just thanks for both of you giving up time. I've used 36 minutes times 2 of Unumbox's valuable time. So I appreciate you doing that. So thanks very much.
It's more than a pleasure. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.